what could a Turtle WoW 2.0 look like? This video is going to be a speculation video where I talk about what I would like to see out of a revamped Turtle WoW, or just a fully fleshed out vanilla plus experience in general. Nothing I say here is confirmed other than we know that a 2.0 is coming out, told to us via their roadmap for 2024 and 2025. If you didn't know, Turtle WoW is running on a 1.12 client, which is vanilla. However, it also comes with a lot of bugs and limitations to the core that the server is running on now. Now, there are ways around it. Looking at servers like Wallcraft, there is a ton of things that you can do with a 1.12, though I feel that a 3.3.5 client, which is a Wrath of the Lich King client, has a much better opportunity overall for better quality of life in terms of the HUD layout, as well as minor things to the gameplay, such as a hunter automatically switching from melee to ranged while moving in combat. You could also downport things from newer expansions much easier, and already have a lot of the systems pre-made, such as phasing. Now, I'm not asking for phasing to be everywhere in the world, but with the limited approach of a single quest here and there to be phased and then revert back to normal would be acceptable. Duskhaven did this very well, so you can feel as if a town were being raided, but then it would revert back to normal after your single quest, so you wouldn't be locked away from other players who have not done that quest yet. Now, I'm not sure about you, but lately I haven't really been feeling it for Turtle WoW. It's not a bad server, I just feel that the last few content updates have been a bit lackluster, and that the glamour of having a new zone or a revisioned, zone that we already knew about in the lore tends to be overshadowed by dull quest lines. Turtle WoW could use an overhaul with the questing. I am by no means asking for a linear quest experience, that Cataclysm and Retail do. I prefer the more open-ended experience, with small quest chains here and there to tell stories where they count, which is what vanilla does to some degree, but there's only so many times I can kill and collect 20 bear asses multiple times per zone for no other reason than busy work. In vanilla WoW, the majority of your experience to level came from killing, not really from questing. Quests were there really to incentivize you to kill in order to grind your levels. So I feel that the best system is to take on a more RuneScape approach, where you reduce the amount of quests needed to level, increase the experience that they give depending on how many actions you have to take and how hard the quest is, and have the quests be more dynamic in how you approach them, similar to any other old school RPG. We can still have these sort of quests where you, do need to kill certain enemies, but not having as much would be an overall benefit. I would just like to see more quests where you seek items that are hidden, craft items for quests, infiltrate enemy bases while stealth, sabotage, and even lead assaults. Not to mention the standard, there's an issue in place A, go solve it by going to place B sort of quests. But moving on, in terms of classes, I would like to see a type of open class hall zones, similar to what we already have with the Druids in Moonglade and Ravenholt with Rogues. Adding a class-specific daily or story mode quest to the unique areas, as well as quartermasters to award transmog, class mounts, pets, and other sorts of rewards would also be really cool. But also just expand out this system to other classes too. Give them their own areas in the world to use. Speaking of the world, there are so many mountains that eat up a lot of space for absolutely no reason. The mountains that also border zones that don't really need to be there in most cases. I love the natural border of, just a river between Durotar and the Barrens. So maybe a dev on Turtle WoW could map edit and reduce the amount of mountains that are not there for any purpose other than, just to be there. By doing this, you would expand out already existing zones, enlarge them. We can also utilize those empty areas into new ones. And while they already started to do that in the current game, I feel that there is so much more that could be done. Look at Mulgore. It's supposed to be a wide open grassland, but really it's just a boxed in zone. By removing the mountains between it and the Barrens, it would feel a lot larger, as well as seeing that natural shift from green to gold grass. It would look amazing. But of course, only for the areas that it would make sense to do that. I'm not asking to flatten down Stone Talon, that itself is a mountain and can stay. Having more out to do in the world is also important. I feel that every private server is locking themselves into the old way of the game, which is simply to quest until 60 and then raid. By adding more things to do out in the world and making it a bit more sandbox, you allow for more than just one type of content for other players to enjoy. And even then, it would allow for raid loggers to have other things to do other than just wait around for raid day or just make a new character. An example of one of the things I would like to see is kind of like the Timeless Isle from Mists of Pandaria. It's also seen in the Shinobi Stories server. Both of those allowed the player to interact with the world in various ways for small and large rewards. Turtle WoW again tried to do this for the farming profession, and it was neat, but I think it should be expanded upon. Looking at Shinobi Story, the bushes for an example, you can loot them and gain herbs. Some herbs could be used in cooking, while others were served as healing items. Vanilla WoW already has a small amount of this in terms of, rare interactable items like the milk barrels, food crates, and such, but expand the scope. It would be awesome to bring also the hidden caves from Legion, where you see a pile of rubber and a miner could dig it out and find rare ores or treasure inside of it. With the recent announcement of the open Zulaman zone to explore, imagine being able to play with that area with various voodoo items around the map, summoning secret bosses, and finding rare treasures. I also think that the Transmog system needs to be reworked as well. If you're gonna have a Transmog system, just let us have it. Making us having to run endgame dungeons for tokens in order to mog is kind of dumb and clunky. In terms of the various challenge modes, I don't really see an issue with challenge modes, but I do see people's reasoning on how hardcore mode divides the community in a literal sense, as you cannot play with them or vice versa. It's really to, prevent cheating, but on the other hand, it means half the people you're playing with, you cannot really play with them. I don't really know how to solve this issue other than, making different servers, but that will also divide the base. So I'm all ears for any suggestions on how that could be fixed. Player housing is another thing. Come on, guys. Player housing. But I would look at what Sargeras' Embrace server is doing, as they're utilizing the retail's customization menu interface to make their player housing, and that seems to be the cleanest way and the easiest way to do it. Other servers are trying to implement player housing, but they all seem very clunky, so I would look at using the customization that Sargeras' Embrace is using, because, that just looks better. And lastly, the PvP. Firstly, I want them to remove the restrictions on how many times we can flag for PvP. Currently, if you flag from war mode and then you turn it off, you cannot turn it back on. I find this to be the most restrictive and nonsensical thing on this server. War mode itself is completely fine. However, there are times that I just, flat out don't feel like PvPing, and other times that I want to go full head on into PvP. So allowing me to choose when I want to PvP is a crucial part of enjoying the game. I don't mind having the restriction of, going to a capital city and being out of combat for 5 minutes or so before you can switch, but at least give me that option. Beyond that, looking at the roadmap, they seem to be adding a lot more PvP areas and zones, as well as objectives to the current game. We'll have to wait and see how those do before I can make a call on that, but for 2.0, I would love the introduction of more dynamic Horde versus Alliance events, such as maybe every few hours a group of Horde or a group of Alliance NPCs will gather in a town of a contested area. They can call for members of that faction to rally with a server-wide call. After a few minutes, they'll march to the opposing town. If the other faction isn't aware of it, they might be caught off guard, but if not, they can try to stop them. Once they reach the other town, a battle can commence, until all of the NPCs are dead, or another form of victory is achieved. If the attackers win, they can control the town for a short period of time, and as well allow the victors to loot any chests that could give honor points and other items for defeating the faction's area as a reward. You also have the tried and true PvP towers from Eastern Plaguelands that could be added into a few other zones, but I would also love to have just a full-on PvP zone, where it's similar to Alterac, but out in the open world. You could do other tasks besides pure PvP in order to aid your side, gathering meat from animals to strengthen your troops, gathering metal or wood to bolster your defenses, all while attacking and destroying the enemy's defenses. Laying traps around, sabotaging, a fluid open PvP zone with dynamic events that is always ongoing, so you can hop in and out with ease. But anyway, that is my wish list for Turtle WoW 2.0 if we ever do see it, and if it happens to be a full-on revamp, or if it's gonna be, just an expansion. What do you all think, and what do you want to see in Turtle WoW 2.0? Let me know in the comment section down below, and I will see you next time.